Good evening and welcome to your Thursday edition of FSU Weather. We're here with a live look over Doak Campbell Stadium where you'll see the cloud conditions match what's on the graphics, mostly cloudy. There's a bit patches of sun coming through, so if you're out on Landis Green, be sure to enjoy that sun and these mild temperatures. 86 right now in Tallahassee with winds coming out of the east, a little bit breezy, so a little bit of cool air coming in from the east. And you'll notice because the winds are coming in from the east, and the rain is to our west, those rain chances are going to be very low over the next 24 hours. Going through tonight, partly cloudy, 72, wind staying out of the east, and this pattern will continue into tomorrow with 86, more easterly winds and more partly cloudy skies. Taking a look at the rest of the show, though, there's only one name left on the hurricane name list. What happens after we get rid of that? Find out more later. New City of the Week segment, and we're going to be looking at your parents' weekend forecast. That and more tonight on FSU Weather.
Hello Tallahassee, welcome to your Thursday edition of FSU Weather. We're starting off with again a beautiful picture over Doak Campbell Stadium, 6:02 p.m. A few clouds dotting the sky, but our sun is making for a beautiful sunset again. Right now our temperature is 86 degrees and mostly cloudy, winds from the east at about 6 miles per hour, so nothing too terribly uncomfortable. Maybe just a little bit of a breezy air for you today, but nothing tropical storm force or anything quite like that. Satellite and radar, most of the activity is to our west. We're seeing a lot of showers and storms off to the west, like in areas like Memphis and New Orleans. Not really quite making its area to the Tallahassee immediate metro, but those of you in Apalachicola might see a stray shower or two. Looking closer into our local look, a lot of these clouds have invaded the metro, giving us some very high clouds as you just saw in the Doak Campbell Stadium shot, but our storms are staying to areas more like Panama City. For here in Tallahassee, we're not going to actually see much in the way of rainfall over the next few days. But we are seeing still fairly high dew points, not quite as bad as they were previously in the 80s, but 70s and 60s, still a little bit on the muggy side. And as you get closer to the coast, areas like Perry and even further down, you might see into the 70s and maybe mid-70s for your dew points. Looking at our temperature here, it is nicer than it was earlier. Now it's in the 80s. We're not looking at 90s anymore. 80s for most of us, 86 in Tallahassee, 84 in Apalachicola. So that temperature right now at Thursday is looking fairly nice for us. Heat index is fairly close to where we are because that dew point is in the 60s. It's not really giving us any sort of extra bump to get up to the 90s. Again, roughly where we're at, maybe a little bit higher than our temperature in areas along the Gulf where we are seeing those more muggier dew points. Looking at the temperature, or sorry, excuse me, the radar here, that's pretty sure this isn't temperature here. Next 24 hours, seeing those clouds moving into the region here. Maybe you're going to see some of those showers and activity come into our eastern regions. But again, just missing us. It's almost like we're in a little bit of a rain hole here. Seeing that activity staying to our west and our east, but not really making it towards Tallahassee itself. The day planner is going to be fairly nice for us. It's going to stay in the 70s in the morning, sunny at 9 a.m., going towards getting a little bit warmer, almost to 90 there you are at 3 p.m. So if you are going to walk your dog, I would highly suggest getting that out of the way, if you are doing that in the morning here. We've got a little bit of an interesting setup for our next week ahead. We have mostly staying in the 80s as we get towards the weekend. Moving towards next week, though, we are going to cool down just a bit. Those highs are going to be in the lower 80s. And look, these rain chances are going to be returning, seeing 40s and 50s on Monday and Tuesday, going to be reducing a little bit as we get towards Thursday, but we are seeing that increase of rain chances. I know we've been dry this full week. So what do you think of that, Jonathan?
I think it is time to take a look at the tropics, where there's certainly some moisture coming in, but one thing you'll notice is that we are at the very end of our hurricane name list. We've already gone all the way through Teresa. Sam is still active. We'll talk about him in a sec. But Victor and Wanda are our last two names, so what's going to happen after we extinguish them? Well, I hinted at it earlier, but the answer is there's a new list we'll get to. But taking a look at Sam right now, Sam is one of those gorgeous annular type hurricanes. Essentially what an annular hurricane means is that it is a donut hole on, not a donut hole, a donut with a hole in the middle of it right on satellite. These bright colors indicate very high cloud tops, and the wind speed is just as big as these bright colors. So all around this big inner core, Sam is going to have those hurricane force winds, but the maximum winds are still going to be right in that bright spot in the eye wall, 145 miles per hour. Sam is still a Category 4 hurricane, and that is a beast that we are very grateful will not touch any land. It's going to be what we call a fish storm, which means it's just going to move north and then eventually east and weakening out into the Atlantic. This one should miss Atlantic Canada, unlike some of the other fish storms we've had this year. But for such a powerful storm that's going to maintain its strength through Sunday in the morning as a Cat 2, that's not a lot of weakening. We are very thankful that Sam is not coming to the eastern coast. Taking a look at Victor, which is the other name we mentioned, Victor looks kind of good on satellite, but is kind of messy at the surface. 45 miles per hour, barely holding on as a tropical storm. Might strengthen a little bit into the afternoon tomorrow, but is eventually going to fade out, curving into the Atlantic and not do much. But here we are on satellite panning, and we'll notice we're looking for more areas to watch, which the next storm to be named will be Wanda, and then after that we're going to the new supplemental list. Some of you might remember last year we went on to the Greek alphabet. That system is no more, probably because we don't want the public getting confused with COVID variants and hurricanes both being named after the Greek alphabet. But we'll switch to an alternate name list after we get through Wanda. However, we'll have to watch this one wave coming off the coast of Africa, and then maybe this other wave that did have a high chance but kind of got sheared out by Victor. It'll move into the Caribbean, and then we'll have to eventually watch because, as we know, tomorrow's October, and October is Caribbean hurricane season. Now we're going to go ahead and pass things off and look at a different perspective with Robert.
Right, we're going to look at the southeast for our weather here, but like as Jonathan said, we do need to be watching for these hurricanes because hurricane season is not climatologically over here. We can still see some more activity. It is always very important to stay prepared. Looking at our temperatures right now in Florida, they are fairly nice for us. Nobody hitting that 90-degree mark. You guys are getting pretty close in Tampa and Fort Myers, but we're very grateful that our temperatures are not quite as bad as they were here during the summer. We'll take it. I know that you guys in the north are enjoying your 60s and 70s, but down here in Florida, we'll have to take it for what we can get here in late September, if you will. Almost October now, getting very close to October 1st. Dew points here are going to be a little bit nicer here in north and west central Florida. You guys on the coast and the east are going to see a little bit more muggier dew points getting towards the 70s in Miami and West Palm Beach. Us staying here in the mid-60s in Tallahassee and Gainesville. That just means that air is not quite as humid and full of moisture content as you would find in eastern and southeast Florida. Looking at our satellite and radar, really seeing that contrast between far western northwest parts of Florida that are getting into that rain action here, and the rest of the state that is under the influence of a little bit of high pressure like it was yesterday, seeing all this rain activity staying pretty clear for us. We're watching a little bit of rain down here coming towards the north parts of South Florida. You guys might see a shower or two, but nothing too crazy on your evening commute here. And looking specifically at South Florida, these showers are mostly staying confined to the far north parts of the I-95 corridor, getting to areas just north of West Palm Beach. You might see a shower or two. Miami Metro, probably going to stay dry tonight, just really missing out on that rain action. Might see a little extra towards the western Everglades as well. And looking towards that north part, you can really see how those dry conditions start to prevail here across the southern I-4 corridor. Around Port St. Lucie, again, you might see another stray shower or two, but these dry conditions are going to be prevailing for most of us here in Florida, though we do come under the influence of high clouds as you get further towards the northern parts of Florida, particularly along the I-4 corridor. That's what gave us our beautiful sunset tonight here in Tallahassee. As I said earlier, the only exception here to this really dry Florida is this northwest area around Pensacola and Panama City. You guys are seeing a few scattered showers and thunderstorms, nothing severe, but something to watch out for on your evening commute if you are driving across I-10 between areas like Defuniak Springs and the northern parts of Pensacola. So again, just something to watch out for, nothing to be too concerned about. As we look for the next 3 days, though, for our cities here in Florida, we are seeing that rain chance decrease for you in Miami, and highs are going to be staying fairly around the upper 80s. As we move a little bit towards the north, towards Tampa, though, we are seeing a little bit more 90 action going on here, 92 on Friday and 90 on Saturday, but you can see those rain chances really under the influence of that high pressure system, going to be a little bit less with respect to that. And as we move up towards Orlando, seeing that 90s, but a little less on your rain activity here and going up towards Jacksonville. It is a little bit nice and cooler here and a little less rain. And finally, as we go over to Pensacola, seeing those 80s for us here and a little more rain as we go into Saturday and Sunday. So now we're going to pass this off to Jonathan.
Yeah, now taking a look across the southeastern United States, we said that Florida is very dry, but there are parts of the southeast that are most definitely not dry, and that's going to be very indicated. That's going to be indicative of the dew points. Florida is actually, usually we like to say our hot spot is Florida for dew points, but notice your dew points are in the 70s and barely below 70 in Jackson, Shreveport, Little Rock, New Orleans. That's going to be where the bulk of the moisture is, and then that's also going to reflect on radar and your upper level water vapor satellite. So notice there is a deluge of moisture pouring in from the Gulf around the Louisiana coast, and then a secondary, I don't really want to call it a river, but a river of moisture coming in up through the Dallas metro ahead of that front. And that's going to be reflected in your radar. Notice there is a cluster of showers that haven't really gone anywhere in the past 3 hours on this radar picture, right along the coast, down the I-10 corridor through Louisiana, then a secondary cluster associated with that cold front that leads down into a severe thunderstorm watch, but we'll get to more on that in a second. Today's storm outlook, not much going on over Florida, as we said, but as we go further and further west, we do get into that marginal severe thunderstorm risk. So a few chances of severe weather the more west you go within the southeast. But as we head into tomorrow and day 3, just a general chance of thunderstorms, but that does not mean we are completely out of the woods for severe weather. As one of the things that we notice on the warnings right now, which unfortunately I don't think there's a graphic for that in this segment, but one of the things we'll see in the warnings right now is there are flash flood watches and warnings out for parts of Louisiana, Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi, where the rain is just dumping and dumping. So usually people like to let their guard down and won't really do much in a general thunderstorm outlook, but we will have to keep our eyes open for flash flooding as we go through the next 48 hours, and you'll notice the rain keeps happening in the same areas. However, there's sort of a block over the state of Alabama that is going to prevent this moisture from making its way into Florida, which is a good thing for us here. Temperature-wise, it's going to remain mild and sort of reflect that. So South Florida, you don't count right now. Robert just covered you. North Florida through the rest of the southeast. Temperatures are going to be very mild tonight, but notice those deep reds come back tomorrow. Montgomery, you're going to be hitting 90 on the first day of October. So not really the fall-like weather we'd like to see at this time of year, but I promise it's coming. As we did say, there is a cold front in Texas. So that'll eventually come, but taking a look and seeing if that cold front is going to hit us here in Tallahassee, we have Evan on the local.
That's right. Thank you, Jonathan. So I'm going to be taking you through our local forecasts. And we'll start off with a live look at Doak Campbell Stadium right now. Currently 86 degrees out there. Clouds are starting to win out over the sun a little bit, but that might help towards a beautiful sunset. Some of those high clouds become a factor when that sun starts to go down. As I say, 86 right now. A little breeze coming out of the east right now at 6 miles an hour. As for the satellite and radar, not a whole lot across the panhandle of Florida. There are some clouds, as you can see there, moving towards the east. But most of the rainy action is off in Alabama, Mississippi, and into Louisiana. And Robert will actually take you through some of the storms that will be going through Texas later on in the show. And as for closer to home, winds right now are pretty scrambled around the area, anywhere from around 5 to maybe 10 miles an hour. There's a little sea breeze around in Apalachicola coming out of the southeast at 7 miles an hour right there right now. As for temperatures around the area, as I said, 86 degrees in Tallahassee, mostly cloudy. The hot spot in the area right now is Perry, sitting at 87. Down the shore at Apalachicola, 84, and very sunny right now. And cooler as you go north into Georgia, as Thomasville and Valdosta sitting in the low to mid 80s. As for dew points out there, there are some very muggy spots right now. Quincy is the winner right now at 75. I wouldn't want to be there right now. It's very muggy, almost oppressive feeling out there. A little more comfy in Tallahassee, not much though, 64. Would really like to see some of those dew points that we saw last week in the mid 50s. Same thing for Apalachicola, a little more muggy down the coast at 69. As for the next 24 hours, clouds will continue to persist around the area. There's a slight chance of a rain shower, especially north and east, but not too significant around the Tallahassee metro area. But some of those showers will be working into our area later on in the week, and I'll get to that in your 7-day. Tomorrow's dog walk forecast, 7 a.m., a little mild out there, mostly cloudy, 70 degrees, and as we work throughout the morning, temperatures will rise into the 80s once again. So another hot day out there. Not really typical of your fall weather that I would like to see as a true northerner, but definitely a nice day out there nonetheless. And as for your week ahead, as I said, temperatures will remain hot for the next few days, especially for the football game on Saturday, a high of 88. And temperatures will start to cool down throughout the week as that rain chance does return for the end of the week and into the beginning of the week next week, with the winter on Tuesday, a 50% chance of showers throughout the day there. And lows will be in the upper 60s to perhaps the mid 60s as we work throughout the week. And I'm going to hand things off to Jonathan for a look at your national forecast.
Yep, so taking a look at the big picture across the country, right now you'll notice temperatures are very warm and mild and unseasonably hot up in Minneapolis in the Midwest. I would not expect for Billings, Bismarck, and Minneapolis to be in the 70 to 80 range the day before October. Something's not right here, and the answer is going to be in the steep temperature gradient you see in the colors from the yellows and oranges right back into those greens and blues over Denver. And that's going to be where a cold front is, and out ahead of cold fronts we have warm air surging in from the north, and that is what is triggering those thunderstorms, the contrast of those air masses. Speaking of air masses, dew points, warm and muggy across the southeast, and very dry, bone dry in Billings. So that 70 degrees in Billings probably feels fantastic outside. Taking a look at the upper level water vapor across the country, you'll notice those two areas I talked about earlier associated with the disturbances, but notice there's some drier air filtering in on the backside of that and on the backside of this upper level low in the northeast. And that's going to be right here. The high pressure system with its clockwise flow is going to bring some dry air down behind this low pressure in the frontal system stationed in the plains. Taking a look at your active alerts, there it is. There's that warning graphic I was looking for. Flood warnings along the I-10 corridor, north of where the severe thunderstorm watch is, and that severe thunderstorm watch in the pink color associated with a few severe thunderstorm warnings down near the Mexico border. Up in the northeast, we do have that upper level low swirling around in a counterclockwise pattern, bringing in some rain showers and cooler air on the backside of it for your northeasters. I'm not a northeaster person. I'm from the southeast, unlike some of my peers on the show as they were mentioning where they were from. Notice there's this weird little spinny feature up that I just noticed on radar in Minneapolis. So that's a weird maybe mesoscale low type rotating around, bringing some showers and storms to the Minneapolis-St. Paul metro. And then there's some convergence going on in showers in the state of Mississippi, and that's going to bring us there some rainier, wetter conditions, and we'll have to watch that for flash floods. Notice here's that cold front I was talking about, and this is where the dynamic forcing is good enough to bring some severe thunderstorms. Notice we'll have these individual discrete cells that are popping up like popcorn in South Texas, moving northeast, and these are the storms that we have to watch for maybe some hail, damaging winds, maybe a tornado, but I'm not seeing a tornado watch in the area, so I'm not thinking that is likely today. Moving over into the desert southwest, it is living up to its reputation, and once again, this graphic I put in the show about a year ago to really show how drastic and terrible the drought problem is in the western United States. And notice every state, whether it be Utah, Nevada, California, Oregon, and even Idaho, the majority of those states are in extreme and exceptional stages of drought. So no relief in sight there for them soon. But focusing back on the southeast, temperatures here are mild, and so is the weather. Very clear skies in Florida. It's living up to its name as the Sunshine State. Storm outlook, we've already gone through these. There's not really much going on, but we do have to keep an eye for flash flooding. And then for your temperatures tonight, temperatures are going to remain very mild across the region with lows in the 40s and 50s in the west, and then in the 70s and high 60s in the southeast. Highs tomorrow, same pattern as we've seen, a little bit warm for the first day of fall, but zooming back into Texas to take a look at the severe weather, here is Robert.
Right, thank you, Jonathan. Like he was saying earlier, we do have a situation developing in Texas. But first, we're going to look at my hometown of DFW, the greatest metro area in the United States and the world. We have very little warm conditions here, but as I'm sure many natives from the Metroplex know, our summer really doesn't end until mid-October, so this is about normal for us. We're seeing 80s and almost getting up to 90s in Cleburne, so you guys are really experiencing these warmer conditions here. And we're under the influence of a little bit of muggy dew points, seeing those 60s influencing the area. I know for some Floridians, they're going, 60s, that's muggy. Yeah, but back home, this is a little bit muggier for us. And that is because we are under the influence of this cold front, and it is also having this situation where we have some rain coming in and maybe even some severe weather. Probably going to miss the Metroplex here. We're probably not going to see much in the way of severe weather, but we actually might see a few showers and thunderstorms for you guys in Dallas and Fort Worth from this system. Winds are going to be fairly calm for us, except for you guys up closer to the front. You can see 16 in Denton and 10 in Fort Worth. Those are our higher conditions here. As we go out west in Greenville and Dallas, it is more single digits here. Not very windy for you guys, maybe a little bit closer to the front. The main story is out west. We have this big storm outlook here. We have a slight going on for us in places like San Angelo and areas of western Texas, close to areas like the Rio Grande. But an important thing is, Dallas, you are going to stay fairly clear of those conditions. Severe weather, not really a possibility. Getting a little close in areas like Wichita Falls and maybe Abilene too, getting into that slight risk there, but Dallas, Fort Worth are going to stay fairly clear. That are going to be fairly conducive for rainfall. And another important thing to mention is, like I said, it was not severe, but we are going to see more rainy conditions, particularly along the I-35W corridor, but that is going to expand its way eastward as we go throughout the night. Tonight, 71 and storms. As those storms make its way closer to the Dallas area, you're going to see storms and those colder conditions. Going to be a nice reprieve from those 80s that we're seeing right now, going to get towards 70. And as we go into our 3-day forecast, we're going to see those showers and stormy conditions stick around for Friday and Saturday. The 70s and 80s here, but it is going to nice cool off for us here from those 80s. Now I'm going to pass things off for Evan, coming back to Tallahassee for a look at Parents Weekend.
That's right, Robert. I'm going to be taking you through your Parents Weekend forecast. That's this weekend. Right now over Doak Campbell Stadium, mostly cloudy, like I said, in the local forecast, but it's going to look very similar to this for the football game against Syracuse this weekend, so hopefully we can win that game. But if you're thinking about going out tomorrow to do some things with your parents and your family, at the Res, it's going to be 88 degrees tomorrow, a perfect day to swim, paddle, or relax. Definitely a good day to get in the water and cool off, because it's going to be quite hot outside tomorrow. So definitely good to get a day to go do that. For your tailgate forecast on Saturday, there will be games on Landis on Saturday. 86 degrees will be that temperature out there for you guys. So a good day to throw in a Frisbee, maybe play a little cornhole out there. Definitely a good day to do that. And as for your game day forecast, kickoff will be at 3:30 p.m. against Syracuse. Hopefully we can finally win a football game. It's been a while, I think. But at kickoff, it'll be around 86 degrees. Temperatures will be decreasing throughout the game, rounding out around 80 degrees by the game's end around 8 o'clock. But hopefully this should be a good game for us to finally win, and it looks like it will be good weather out there. Now I'm going to pass things off to Jonathan for a look at your local forecast.
Yeah, zooming back into Tallahassee, our football team might not be the hottest right now, but the temperatures still are. It's 86 degrees in Tallahassee right now. We are approaching sunset. We are still approaching the first day of October, and it is still warm. Luckily, we're dry too. Not necessarily your muggiest, wettest, rainiest day in Tallahassee in the area right now, but those dew points in Tallahassee, 64, that might be associated with a little feature such as maybe a sea breeze or something coming in, because notice right north of I-10, the dew points in Quincy and Thomasville are up in the 70s, about 5 to 10 degrees higher than they are here in Tallahassee. That's going to combine to give us our, I thought that was heat index, it's actually the temperature graphic. That's going to give us our temperature of 86 as we saw originally. But notice the winds are kind of light and variable, and that actually would support my sea breeze theory, because the winds are coming in off the coast, but up inland they are coming down from the continental air mass and across from the Jacksonville area, which is going to keep the rain coverage away from us, but notice we'll have some clouds. But the really interesting thing we just noticed in that graphic is that the clouds are moving in multiple directions, and that means we have layered clouds at different layers of the atmosphere. And that is not necessarily going to be the type of clouds that produce us lots of heavy pouring rain, but they're the type of clouds that produce pretty sunsets and pretty days to be out on Landis Green. Your day planner tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. A few clouds throughout the day, but mostly sunny with temperatures ranging from 73 on your morning walk to class and then 89 as we, the seniors, are walking to Synoptic. For your game day, well, I said the football team isn't been that hot this season, but the temperatures certainly will be. Unfortunately, we're stuck with an afternoon game, and temperatures will be hot, 86, 85. Make sure if you're going to the game, you put on sunscreen, you're staying hydrated, make sure you are prepared for the heat in that stadium. Doak Campbell seems to just amplify that heat. But as we head through the rest of the week, notice your temperatures are going to start to go down a little bit, but as your temperatures go down, your rain chances are going to go up. Temperatures going to drop down from 89 down to about 85, 83, 84. But notice as we head into Monday, your Tuesday, rain chances start to increase. I would say Tuesday, looking at the model data, is going to be our best bet for some rain. But as you head early into the work week next week, be prepared. Bring your rain jacket, bring your coat. That's the same thing. Bring an umbrella, that type of thing. Maybe look into taking the bus if you have a long distance to walk. Maybe park in a closer parking garage. But some weather conditions are to be expected Monday through Tuesday. But now we are going to go ahead and transition to our final desk. And to wrap up the show and to congratulate Evan on his first show, we have Robert and Evan on desk.
Right, congratulations to Evan, who is now one of the newest members of our team here at FSU Weather. We are always excited to see new people join our team, and Evan did a great job today for his first forecast, and we welcome him to the team as well.
Yeah, thank you. This has been a lot of fun. I've been watching the show for about a year now, trying to get the lay of the land, and it's always, broadcast has never been really interested me, but I always want to find out how I can better communicate the weather to people, because I think that's always a valuable thing to have, especially if you're going into a field like this. It's very important this day and age.
Right, exactly. That's a good point you just made. Weather is a very important science that we always like to get into research and the specifics of that, but we also have to communicate what we know to people, and a great way to do that is through broadcast, and that's why we have this institution here with FSU Weather, is to bring more weather for people. But I'm sure as all you viewers know, you want to know more about your weather, and we're essentially just watching a pattern here that's going to be a little bit cooling off as we get into the weekend here. We're going to see some rain, some showers and thunderstorms here, and it's going to be a little bit of a pattern shift, I would say, particularly watching those 40 and 50% chances of rain we are watching as we get into Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to some cooler temperatures around here, especially once I get off the bus in the morning. My glasses will no longer fog up. I'm really hoping for that day to come really soon. Some cooler temperatures, less humid temperatures. I'd really like that around here sometime. Hopefully that comes around soon. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/FSU Weather. Like us on Facebook so you can, FSU Weather. Watch us live on YouTube, youtube.com/FSU Weather if you aren't already. And make sure you send in your pictures to us follow us on Instagram at FSU Weather.
Right. Thank you again for joining us today. We have a packed week ahead for us. It is now Thursday, but we're going to see some more weather. So make sure you continue to stay tuned here at FSU Weather for continued updates on these rainy conditions coming up and maybe potential tropical development. So it's always important to stay tuned, stay prepared, and always continue watching. I'm Robert Zott here from FSU Weather.
I'm Evan O'Regan.
Good night.